Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. The New York Giants defeat the Seattle Seahawks. The New York Giants beat the Seattle Seahawks, flew all the way to Washington. Beat the Seattle Seahawks and the 12th man. Shout out to the New York Giants. And guess what? The New York Giants did what a lot of us have been asking them to do. Get the tight ends involved, be more aggressive on offense, be more aggressive on defense. That's what won us the game today. And guess what? It's always a roller coaster ride, and the New York Giants never make it easy. Never make it easy. We start off the game, we stop, we hold the Seattle Seahawks, forced to punt. We turn around and go on a 15-play drive, get all the way to the 1-yard line. It's fourth down. We go for it. And what did the New York Giants do? Fumble on the half-yard line. Seattle Seahawks pick up the fumble and turn that fumble into a 102-yard return for a touchdown. And the New York Giants go down 7-0. And I go to Twitter and I said, this is the most New York Giants thing I've ever seen. And no matter how many times I've said something like that, they always top it. Just made me think about the year, what was it, last year? Just made me think about last year. Seattle game, Monday Night Football. Get all the way down to like the 2-yard line. Daniel Jones throws an interception. They return it for a touchdown. It gave me that same kind of vibe. And I was sick, but I guess I go to Twitter, I let out my emotions, and then I saw somebody tweet out, they said, you know what, so what? We just got to get it back. And I said, are you kidding me? And then I thought about it. You know what? It is what it is. We got punched in the mouth first. We got to go back and respond. And guess what the New York Giants did? They responded. The New York Giants were actually very dominant in this game. I can say that. The New York Giants were dominant in this game, especially in that first half, time of possession, third down conversions, yardage. The New York Giants were winning in every category. Getting them off, forcing the punts, getting them off the field. The New York Giants had a dominating performance against the Seattle Seahawks, and it's not like the Seattle Seahawks suck either. That was a good team that we beat in their home. We can't take anything away from that. The New York Giants showed up. Shout out to Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had a fantastic game. And guess what? If the wide receivers would have held on to the ball a little bit, his game probably would have been even better. But I don't want to start griping on some of the negative because, again, the New York Giants got the victory. Tomorrow will be a Victory Monday. And, of course, because it's the New York Giants and the fan base is so divided, you're going to see a lot of the stuff that we saw 2 weeks ago when we beat the Cleveland Browns. Apology posts for Daniel Jones. Where are the DJ haters at? I thought he couldn't throw the ball deep. But we're going to see all of that. But guess what? I don't care. If I'm going to be wrong, the New York Giants win because I was wrong in the way I thought about things, I apologize. I'm happy with being wrong if the New York Giants win. And the New York Giants were dominating. And what a way to end the game. Again, it's never easy for the New York Giants. We go down. Seattle gets a chance to tie the game at the end of the game. And as a New York Giants fan, how many times have we been in a position where we're either going to lose a game by a field goal or a game goes into overtime because of a field goal against us? And all those memories start to creep back in my mind while I'm sitting here waiting for these guys to kick the field goal. I'm like, in this case, I'm saying, at least, you know what, we're going to go to overtime. And then hopefully Brian Dable stops with the less aggressive play calling like he did it in that final drive in the fourth quarter. And we can get back to being aggressive. But no. You know what happens? Number 19, Mr. Isaiah Simmons. I didn't see him the entire game. Didn't see Isaiah Simmons once in the entire game. And what does he do? He pulls through with the biggest play of the game. He blocks the field goal, jumps over the gap because that's illegal when you're jumping over the gap, not jumping directly over the snapper. Jumps through the gap. And you already knew it was blocked because he got back there so fast. He could have picked how he wanted to spike that ball. like a volleyball player. He could have chose how much punch to put into it. He punches that ball, and guess what? Bryce Ford Wheaton, the guy I was just talking about in other videos when I said Hodgins got elevated. Bryce Ford Wheaton is there to pick up the fumble or pick up the block kick and returns it for a touchdown, and the New York Giants win the game. My living room, my son and I, we were going crazy in the living room. Crazy. 12th man in my living room. That's how loud we were. And the New York Giants, this is one of those games when you look at what the record could have been and what the record is now. The New York Giants are now 2-3. We could have been 1-4. It's a big difference. We'll see what happens with this Pittsburgh Steelers game against the Dallas Cowboys. You know me, I'm rooting for the Steelers right now to beat the Cowboys for sure. But yeah, man, celebrate this victory, celebrate this win. Let's just talk about it a little bit. Again, strong performance by Tyrone Tracy, over 120 yards rushing. Darius Slayton over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Wan'Dale Robinson did some things too. He did have a couple of drops in this game. We clean it up. I'm not gonna sit on it for too long. Pause. That sounds crazy. I'm not gonna talk about it or linger on Wan'Dale Robinson's drops for too long. We had to clean that up for sure. Man, that's a pause. I'm not gonna let that linger too long. But he has to catch the ball. He has to catch the ball. There's a couple situations. A fantastic game from Daniel Jones. An even better showing from Brian Dable. We got the tight ends involved finally. And what that tells me is there was no Malik Neighbors, but you saw other players step up. There was no Devin Singletary, but you saw other players step up. Outside of that fumble by Gray, in that same drive, there was back-to-back running back screens where he gained 10 yards plus on both of the screens. There's talent on this team. There should be a running back by committee. Hopefully this opens up the eyes of Brian Dable saying, you know what? It's not just Devin Singletary. And Devin Singletary, he doesn't need to carry the ball 18 times in the game. No, you do have a Tyrone Tracy. You do have an Eric Gray. You can keep the running backs fresh. There's no reason to have the 12 personnel. The offensive line is holding up. The offensive line has been good in pass pro, but guess what? Today, the offensive line was able to run the ball. Things are fantastic right now for the New York Giants. This game, and again, this is just 1 week. This is just one game, but you take the momentum from this game, and hopefully you can move forward into next week with the same kind of momentum. The game plan has to be something similar. You know what the New York Giants didn't do? You know what Brian Dable didn't do? Take what the defense gave him. He didn't do that. He dictated to the defense today. He made a conscious decision to throw the ball to the tight end, to get the tight end involved. And guess what? The tight end got involved, and he got involved early. And when you have that threat of somebody outside of Malik Neighbors being able to get the ball, in this case, a tight end, the defense has something to think about. When you have Darius Slayton, getting involved, the defense has something to think about. Tyrone Tracy being able to run the ball, the defense has something to think about. That's the kind of ball you want to coach. Now, when it comes to the defense, shout out to Shane Bowen, too. We've been arguing for a week and a half now, talking about he needs to be more aggressive. And we saw it today, him coaching more. The first play of the game was a safety blitz. Or was it a corner blitz? It was either a safety or a corner blitz on the very first play of the game. And it was an incomplete pass. The very first play of the game, you showed that you were going to be aggressive, and it turned out to be the right move. Shout out to Tibbs. Shout out to Dexter Lawrence. We got the Brian Burns sighting in this game. We got to build off of this. We can't go into next week and be like, okay, we're going to go back into the soft shell and try to get pressure before. No, we're not going to. That we won't survive doing that. The New York Giants have to do what they did today. They have to do what they did in the Cleveland Browns game. Get pressure on the quarterback. You have players with that kind of skill set on this roster on the defensive side. You have to coach them aggressively. The play calling has to be aggressive on the defensive side as well as the offensive side. But again, I'm not going to get into that too much. I'm just going to celebrate this win. And the New York Giants did, in fact, beat the Seattle Seahawks when even I was not sure what was going to happen. I was actually pretty doubtful. And I was wrong. And, thank God that I was wrong. because the New York Giants won, and I'm happy about that at the end of the day. Good performances all around, game balls all around. This was complimentary football, offense and defense doing things to special teams as well. This was the best game of the season, and this was probably the best game we've seen in 2 years for the New York Giants. As far as offense, defense, special teams, all doing everything they needed to do to win a game, and they did that. They scared me at the end of the game because guess what? The only time the Seattle was able to push the ball was when we got into that soft zone and we weren't aggressive. The only time our offense sputtered is when we got into that 12 personnel and we coach scared. But outside of that, the New York Giants did a fantastic job today from the coaching all the way down to the water boy. Good performance from the New York Giants. And that's where I'm going to end this video. And I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.